to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I'm Derek Hayden. I'm your host for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit oral wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at zambuliquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, today's guest is a realtor, a speaker, and a team leader at Remax Rising in Bloomington, Illinois. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome Monica Bullington. How are you doing, Monica?
I'm good. How are you, Derek?
Doing very well. Thanks for coming on the show. We're excited to hear your story.
Thanks.
And we kind of talked before we hit record that Ashley sent you over here, and Ashley Sang is a past podcast guest. And actually, as we're recording for you listeners, Ashley's episode is going to air this Friday, which is April 21st. So for you listeners, make sure you go back and listen to Ashley's episode because it's a pretty good one about branding. She did a great job there. So
she's coached me so I can speak to her talents. So.
There we go. We've got a firsthand learner on the show today. So we'll put it to the test and see what knowledge we can pull out of you today, Monica.
Sounds good.
Perfect. All right. So Monica, before we get into your story, we're going to take you through the speed round to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready for the speed round?
Yes.
All right. You were a little hesitant, but we're going to go for it anyway.
Yes, because I know I'll panic and then tell a 10-minute story.
Hey, that's okay. That makes my job easier. So you're doing great. Okay. The first question. What was the first concert you ever attended?
Backstreet Boys.
Yes. If I could figure out how to mix in the Backstreet Boys songs right here, I will. So I'll see if I can do that. Okay. All right. What was your favorite movie?
I don't actually watch a lot of movies. Okay. I read all the time. I cannot tell you the last time I even watched a movie.
Okay. So. Well, favorite book then. What's your favorite book?
I would say right now, I really like, I can't think of who the author is, but the book is called 4,000 Weeks. And It's a really good businessy type book. Nice. If you're interested in time management and business, that kind of stuff.
I like it. Perfect. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
So Theo's in Uptown Normal has a vegan peach flavor that they used. I think it's Prairie Earth, their peaches last summer. That was phenomenal. I hope they do that again this year, and I will be the first person there.
Awesome. What is your favorite social media platform?
I'm an Instagram person. I refuse to start over on TikTok. It makes me feel like a grandma. I am all about Instagram.
Are you an Android or an iPhone user?
Android. Don't get mad at me if you can't text me properly.
That is all good. So, quick story. I'm on our Little League baseball board, and I'm in charge of 2 different leagues. And there's a total of 12 coaches on my texting list. And one of the guys is an Android user. So I was like, oh, come on. I can't text the schedule to them. So those Android users, you're a different breed.
I hear about it way more often than I should.
All right. Last question, Monica. Why Central Illinois?
So I actually grew up in Belleville down by St. Louis, and I chose Bloomington-Normal. So I went to Illinois Wesleyan University, and half of why I chose Illinois Wesleyan was because of Bloomington. My mom and I drove to town. It was like the perfect distance away from her, 2.5 hours. I wasn't going to, go home every weekend, but I could go home if I needed to.
Cool.
But there was enough to do in the community. It wasn't I know that I know there's a lot of Central Illinois that is very small town, but specifically for Bloomington, it was the perfect mix of there's stuff to do, but still kind of a small town feel. And I could get to Peoria, Champaign, Decatur, Springfield, like so many different places, within 45 minutes. So I love that there's a lot of communities within reach here.
Excellent. Well, that's a great segue into the next segment then, Monica. So, you did a pretty good job on the speed round. But now here comes the real test. You've got to hear your story now. So I'm going to pass the mic to you.
Okay.
If you just take our listeners back in time as far as you'd like, tell us about, where you started, how you got to where you are now, and anything in between that you'd like to share. Feel free to do it now.
So I studied anthropology at Illinois Wesleyan University, and everyone thought, like, what are you going to do with anthropology? I studied abroad in Cameroon, Africa for 4.5 months. I thought I would go do the Peace Corps. I thought I would live abroad forever. Turns out that 4.5 months was long enough, and I was kind of missing my family. So I kind of turned the tables, went into social work. When I graduated from Wesleyan, I wanted to stay in the community. I didn't really know anybody here, but I knew this was a place to build a life. So I got a job in social services. I met my husband. We thought we would move away. We never did, because we knew that we could never be as big of fish, in those big ponds, like if we moved to Seattle or something like that. So we stayed here. We built a great life together. Finally, I realized social work was just too sad for me. I worked with victims of crime. I saw where all of the bad things happened in the community, and I took everybody's stress and problems home with me. So I was like, what's the opposite of social work? And I came up with, two ideas I had. It was either gonna be an event planner or a real estate agent. And I knew somebody that was a realtor, because there's 500 of us in this town. So I found out that would be a really great fit for me. It was really easy to get started. And that was 2015. I blew it out of the park. I just did really well with the ability to be in control of a business, as opposed to, I was not a 9 to 5 person where you sit here exactly 9 a.m. until exactly 5 p.m. when I could get my work done in 2 hours. And I'm like, why am I still sitting here? That's just not my personality, and it just didn't fit with me at the time. So entrepreneurship really made sense for me to be able to be more in control. Because I'm a recovering control freak. I'm trying to get better. So then I did 2 years on a team with realtors. You could be an independent agent at an office or be on a team. A team is a great way to get started, because you have less money that you're putting up front, and it kind of helps smooth out some of the ebbs and flows of the business. So I did 2 years of that, did well, decided I was going to be an independent agent at Remax Rising. Did my own thing for about a year to figure out how much of this can I handle. Had another phenomenal year, then decided I had it in me to grow a team. That was really what helped me leverage my time, because as a solo person, you're just doing everything, the paperwork, the showings, the scheduling, everything. And I really like my husband, and I wanted to spend time with him, and that wasn't happening that year. It was a growing year, and we decided okay, that was enough. So the team allowed me to leverage my time, make money while they made money. I didn't have to physically do everything myself, and work a little bit more on life balance. And then I say that, and then I completely still went balls to the wall and kept being this crazy agent that did everything. And then actually in 2022 or 2021, I became Realtor of the Year, and I was top of the career. What else do I do from here? 2022 came along. It was the 10-year anniversary of my mom's death. I was kind of had a little bit of a midlife crisis here, trying to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. I realized there was more to life than grinding, and a lot of that grind I had that drive came from my fears of what happened with my mom and my past. And that's why I'm this like overachieving nut job, to be honest. So I've been working since then. That's why I started speaking and getting in front of people and talking about burnout and ways to balance your life and find a more resilient way forward, which is how I founded the Resilient Real Estate Agent, which is like an online course platform for me teaching realtors how to be a realtor, but also a thought leadership business that helps them learn work-life balance. So that's
Very
a lot,
cool.
but that's
So
where I'm at now.
what do you say that was the name of your website there at the very end?
It's the Resilient Real Estate Agent.
Resilient Real Estate Agent. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And that's kind of what allowed me the creativity to kind of resurface and figure out, this next part of things. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like the reason you kind of got into real estate initially was the flexibility and ability to do your own thing and not be, put into a cubicle and just show up. So what's kept you in real estate? What's been the one thing that's kind of kept you in that industry?
I suffered a lot from grief, and you can avoid parts of your life really well if you just keep working. So honestly, I mean, you think it might be for one reason. You think it's because I'm really good at this, I'm making a lot of money, like this is so much fun. But like when I peeled back a lot of the layers, I realized it was because I was avoiding other parts of my life, and I had fears of kind of reliving my mom's mistakes in her life, and it drove me to overcompensate in other directions. And so like the fear that I would never have enough money, like that's a real fear, is like financial insecurity for me. And so it was the money, but it really wasn't the money, is because I felt like an insecurity. Because when your mom dies at 54, like you lose all sense of control. So you're trying to find ways to control your life instead. So you just keep working.
Yeah. Wow. So, and that's kind of where the Resilient Real Estate Agent came from then, is to try to help others in your industry cope or go through that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I was like in the all bucket. I mean, I was working so hard and doing everything, saying yes to everything. And I was so terrified of turning down an opportunity. And I realized that that's how you end up burnt out. You end up sitting on your couch eating a sleeve of Oreos because you like can't get yourself up off the couch anymore, because you just can't deal with it anymore. You overdid it.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the business side of it, you wanted to help others and create some of the courses and material to, help other real estate agents, and I guess any professionals probably be more resilient, obviously, based on your name. So tell me a little bit about how you started that. You just came up with an idea of being able to teach others this process. Kind of take me through that process there.
So it really came up with, I realized I'm a project person. I love having stuff to work on. And I love that's what I love about like business and entrepreneurship, is you come up with this idea, you like hash out the details and like execute it. And there's so many different parts to it. I love that stuff. So for me, I was really disengaged at this point in my life. The burnout was just like leaving me kind of hanging, and I didn't really want to engage with other people in the business. I was over the networking stuff, and resilient. I needed something that was creative, and literally creating courses. I mean, you are taking material, you are making infographics, you're making videos, you're actually teaching, planning out these lessons, building a website, all of this stuff. And that's like a gold mine for me of like working on this project. And it's kind of funny because like you think, yes, this it is for other people. It's to help other people be a real estate agent. Like I've got an introductory, like 30-day class, like, hey, you just got your license. Here's literally what you do. But I will tell you that like 90% of this platform is for me. It's for me to feel like alive and to be engaged and like help people. And it's like you would think it's for other people, and it is, but I really think it's because I needed that in my life at a time that like I needed to build and use skills that I had. Like I didn't need to start over completely. I had all of these years of knowledge. I just needed to find a way to like repackage them.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you just have skills that you may have not felt like you were using, and that was what was creating the burnout. So you use this as your method to use those talents and to be engaged in the same industry, maybe not selling homes per se, but helping people in your industry.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but like houses are not like my passion. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I just love houses so much. That's why I became a real estate agent. No, it was like the ability to build a business and work with people and connect and help them. And what it's to say, like, I could have just described being an insurance agent or like a mortgage lender or whoever, right? It's like, it's not about the houses. I mean, that's just the item
just
that
the product,
to be selling.
Yeah, exactly. So as part of this course, what programs did you use to create these online courses? Are they video courses? Are they PowerPoints, or a mix of everything? And how do you put it together in a package for the end consumer?
Yeah. So part of what I love about these types of projects is like the research phase. So I get really nerdy and spend a lot of time researching platforms and stuff. And I learned that there are literally platforms meant to sell online courses. So I researched a bunch, and the one that I use is called Podia. And it's a great, like, you build a website, but then it also helps you build out the classes. And it's legitimately meant to house videos, documents. You can set up quizzes. I don't put quizzes in mine, but you can, like, anything you can think of, really, you can plug it in and you can make it look a certain way. And I have video editing skills, so I was able to use those that I usually use to like make listing photo or videos and actually make these educational videos. And so my website, monicabullington.com, is actually the Podia website that I use for my speaking, and I do a little bit of my real estate on there, and then most of it is there to house the online courses. So it actually kind of lets you do more than just have a course. It's actually, it can be a whole website. And some platforms make you pay per like sale, and some platforms you pay like a monthly or annual fee or something like that. So depending on what you're looking for, there's a ton of different platforms out there that you can build this kind of stuff on.
Very cool. So how do you find your customers for this particular business? So are you doing Google ads, or how are you going out and finding those people to take your courses?
So I will say primarily, it's all of the networking, all the people that I've met. That's why, like, I don't feel like I really have to start over, because I have a base. I know a bajillion realtors from all over the country. So it's a lot of word of mouth and that kind of stuff. And actually, it's funny that you brought up Google. I'm in a fight with them.
Really?
I tried to set up a Google account to run ads, because I run ads for my real estate business. So I was like, I'll run ads for this resilient course. And they kept flagging me as like a fake, like suspicious account. And I have appealed, I think 7 or 8 times. They keep flagging me and telling me that I'm not real. And like, you can't talk to anybody like at Google. All you can do is like submit a form, and they like review it and then deny you. And then you have to do it again. So I literally cannot run any ads with the resilient like email or like YouTube page or anything. So I've had to work around that.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. So just so all you listeners out there, if you're wanting to look into Monica's information here, it's monicabullington.com. It's MonicaBullington.com. So she's got her course information. You've got your speaking tab here. So what type of speaking do you do? Similar to the courses, just in person?
Yeah, so it's kind of this was kind of a fun way to figure out how all these things were connected but separate, because they really are all connected. But you'll see I've got three pillars: real estate, the resilient courses, and then speaking. And the speaking started last year. A friend of mine, I had been pretty open on Facebook about my struggles, and that was really what helped me connect with people, because I was finding out I'm not the only person who struggles, who had a loss in their life that then turned into an overachiever. It's like an actual thing that happens to people when they lose parents really young. And so a friend of mine had a similar situation, and she reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you share your story? We're doing this workshop in the fall." And so I wrote out this whole speech, but like as soon as she said, "Can you do this?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I should be doing." And I spent, months writing this, and like I was like, "This is it." Like I hadn't even said it out loud to anybody, and I was like, "This is like making me come back alive." And I do have a background in speech. Like I was not a sports kid. I did speech and acting team in high school. So I'm very comfortable public speaking. So I wrote out this whole speech and I gave it, and it talks about, I go into stories about like embarrassing things that happened to me as a kid, how resilient we were when we were little, like making mistakes and like didn't give it a second thought, we're just failing. Then these terrible things happen in our lives, like maybe you lose your mom or your dad's an alcoholic, and I talk about those struggles that I had, and then how those made me afraid and made me run away from things in my life and drove me to achieve and find self-worth in achievement. And then I talk about how I found resilience and how that kind of helped me like resurface. So I've been able to give that speech a couple times, and it's been amazing to watch people in the audience like literally just crying and coming up to me afterwards and realizing like I heard so much of my own life in you, because people don't talk about these things. And now I'm out here. I will tell you any ugly story from my past, because it makes me connect with people so much easier than if I was trying to be like, I'm this top 1%, like I'm a top 1% agent and I'm so cool and fancy in my sports car and like whatever. That's not how I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to connect with people by telling them that I got hit in the face in basketball all the time. Like those are the things that connect me. And so now I'm like obsessed and trying to get in front of everybody that I can with the speech, because I really believe in the mission of like talking to people and helping them through speech and connection like that.
Yeah. Well, that's a great story. And I think a lot of business owners or people who are potentially wanting to start their own business probably start the same way that you thought. No one wants to hear my story. I'm just, I'll just be boring. They don't really connect with me. But what people don't realize is there's an audience out there that will connect with your story.
Yeah.
And there's people who need to hear it. There's so many people in the world that somebody needs to hear your story and wants to connect with somebody who has a similar past or similar, concept. And you just got to put yourself out there, and it can be terrifying. I know it. And I think that's the thing that separates the business owners who are able to push through and the ones who quit early. Is I just don't think people really care. Why should people care about me?
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny, because we just talked about Ashley Singh's podcast, and I think that's the name of the title that I put out for her podcast is Why Should People Care? And so telling your story, and just, you don't have to speak. You're not speaking to everyone as a business owner. You're not trying to hit every single professional in the industry that you're speaking to. But you're speaking to a select group of people who are going to connect with you and want to connect with you and build a relationship with those people. So don't get too nervous about having to speak to every potential prospect out there, because there's a niche of people who are going to connect with you. That's who you're going to do business with. That's the people who want to connect with you. And those are the people you're going to help the most. I think that's something that business owners, especially at the beginning, get worked up about is what's everybody going to think about me? Well, the people who you need to, they're going to
say, like, my sisters, I'm going to have 3 sisters, and they do not understand why I put this stuff out there. I mean, I talk about this stuff in public and on my Instagram and in my speeches and stuff. And they would much rather, I mean, I don't want to say like sweep it under the rug, but they're always like, why are you airing our dirty laundry? And I'm like, it's like therapy to me, because I know that me being a little brave and a little scared, but to put something out there is a little like handout to somebody that's like needs it, right? And they're gonna stick their hand out, and it's like a little ET moment, like where you're like, I needed that, and I'm like completely addicted to it. That first day I did this speech, and to have the people that came up to me and told me things about what happened in their lives, like, I mean, it was like, I was like, I got to do this every day. Like, I feel like I actually made a difference. And that was when I realized the change from nobody goes into speaking because they're gonna like make a bunch of money. Like that's not it. It's a mission-based business, right? Like I did real estate, I made the money, I did that, but now I'm like finding real purpose, and I'm able to kind of refine and use the skills that I've learned. And I still sell real estate, but there is a transition. I'm in that transition part of my life where I'm like finding purpose and excited to like follow that, instead of just being scared and trying to make money to protect myself because I'm young and I don't know anything yet.
Well, that's a great story, Monica. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate you telling that to our listeners. And, not to switch gears right in the middle of it, but you did mention selling houses.
Yeah.
So on the other side of your business, you kind of talked about real estate's been the avenue to find yourself in the niche for the resilient real estate side of things. Tell me a little bit about the actual real estate side of it. Are you working mainly in Bloomington and with residential homes? Are you doing commercial, or what's the mix look like there?
Yeah, no, I avoid commercial at all costs. People, it's like law where they think like, you're a lawyer, you can help me with this. And you're like, well, yeah, I do divorces. I don't know anything about, this or that. Right. So, no, I will stick to residential all day long. My brand, is For the Love of Bloomington. It's very Bloomington focused because, like we talked about, I didn't grow up here. I chose to live here. So it was really important to me to kind of celebrate the love of Bloomington that I have. So I primarily work in Bloomington-Normal. I do work in McLean County in general, but my people tend to be in Bloomington-Normal. Like I live close to downtown. Like I'm an old house lover. So a lot of my people, my tribe or whatever, tend to be people that live in the older homes that are also near downtown or uptown. I've sold plenty of houses out in the country, so it's not like I don't go out there, but it's just probably statistics will tell you that most of my business is in there. I primarily work with sellers now. Part of my transition after my huge breakdown, after I became Realtor of the Year, I decided, buyers are hard right now. The market in Bloomington-Normal is tough. It's tougher than any market you will see. Bringing all these Rivian people in is amazing, but it's hard on the realtors and it's hard to find houses. So for me to be able to leverage my time again and to pursue other passions, I've had to find somewhere to draw a line. And for me, the easiest line to draw is I'm personally only working with sellers.
Cool.
Occasionally, like, if my best friend was going to move, I'd help them. Right. But, and then my teammates, so I have 2 agents on my team, and they work with their own buyers and sellers, but then they also work with my buyers. So that's how I'm able to split, leverage my time, and still make money without having to actively be chasing houses.
Excellent. Well, good for you for finding that niche and figuring that out. That's great. I'm on your website. Well, I guess it's the Remax Rising website, but it's kind of your team's website, it looks like. So it's the Monica Bullington Team, bloomingtonil.remax.com.
Yeah.
It looks like video is a big part of your team's strategy. Is that right?
Yes. I learned, this is actually a pandemic skill. I learned how to edit in Premiere Pro during the pandemic because I had nothing else to do. And so I started making listing videos because I had the time. Like, I would get a listing and I had plenty of time to film and edit and do all that stuff. When I don't have time, I have a videographer that actually will make them for me. But I do try to be in them, show my face. And I am one of the very few agents in this area that is as dedicated to making videos, especially right now, because selling houses seems so, quote, easy that people don't invest in these additional expenses like making videos.
Yeah.
But videos is how you can really get somebody to fall in love with a house. And so if a seller gives me enough time, I will always make a listing video because I think they are a great asset to selling the property and getting like the fear of loss going before the house even hits the market.
Sure. Well, the thing other than being at the house and actually walking through, video has got to be the next best thing. And I mean, you are taking a virtual walk through the home. And I know in my home buying experience, that's one of the things that I look at. And one of the things that turned me on to a home recently was they had a 3D tour of it.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like a full video, but like you could like virtually go into rooms and see. It's like, man, that just is puts a different view on that property.
So when you like fall in love with a house, when you're like interested in it, you stalk it, like you obsess over it. Like I remember when we moved into this house, I drove by this house every single day. I scraped every piece of like photo or history I could find on the internet about this house. Like, so I know how obsessive buyers can be. So giving them something like that to kind of cling on to and watch is like awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, the FOMO, fear of missing out, like, oh, I can't let someone else bid on this one because this is mine.
And that is 100% why people put an offer in on a house. They're afraid somebody else is going to buy it before them.
Yeah. And business owners listening, this can relate to your product, even if you're not selling a house. If you sell, I don't know, if you sell metal cups, whatever these are called, the Yeti cups, if you do a video, one thing that I like to do in my business is because I sell insurance, it's really hard to make someone have the fear of missing out on an insurance policy. But I think one thing people miss out on is, as a business owner, you want your logo all over everything. Like if I were the business, I want my business logo on the material I'm giving to my prospect or customer.
Yeah.
In reality, you want their information, their logos, their business information, because you want to make it for them, not about you. It's got to be about the customer. That's what you're doing with the home is, here's where you could live. This is where your living room would be. Here's where, it would be great for your 3 kids or whatever your living situation is. You're making it for that potential buyer.
My biggest pet peeve when people so when you do make a listing video and there's like 5 seconds of your logo before you even see the house. And I'm like, no. Like, this is not about you. You're lucky if you even stick that logo at the end, like, and somebody's watching it. Like, and especially in like instant gratification world of TikTok and Instagram, like you got to get into the house, but it's not about you. And the subtle way I think of including your brand is your face. So I may not be sticking my Monica Bullington Team logo in the middle of the house, but if I'm introducing the house, that's my logo, right? There's nothing more Monica than my face. So I can subtly put myself into the experience and make myself part of the brand, right? Without being so like, there's that logo in my face again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what myself and Garrett, who's usually on the show, he has a meeting going on, so he skipped out today. But when we do drop-offs, like one of our strategies is in-person drop-offs. Again, most people will have a brochure about them. You know, no one wants, they don't really care about you, to be honest. I mean, they want to know they're working with someone that they can trust and like, but initially, what can you do for the client or the prospect? So when we have a drop off, we usually have a folder, like a 3-ring binder folder, a small one. And the front page is like, they wouldn't even know that we dropped it off because our logo's not on it. Our name's not on it. Our contact information isn't on it. It's like the business. So we have a picture of their building, their logo, you know, their lobby, whatever it happens to be. So whenever that decision maker grabs it, he or she thinks it's important for them because, well, this has my stuff on it. So then it's a lot harder to throw that away than it is a business card with my information on it.
I'm glad you brought up the Popeyes. That has like been a huge part of my business. Because I do a little bit on Google, but that's mostly for the team for leads. Most of my business, I did the math. It's actually like 92% of my business comes from referrals from agents, clients, friends, all of that. And most of my marketing is spent on Popeyes. And I will say I did make a course on this that I could sell like templates and stuff because I was like, I already made these. I might as well sell them. Maybe somebody could buy them. But same concept for like my logo is like barely on it. Like I might say like love Monica or something, but like they know who I am. Like I'm in these people's lives. So I'm giving them a gift and it's not red, white, and blue for Remax, you know, it's like an actual gift. And yes, they do need to know like it was from me, but it will literally, sometimes they just say, love Monica. And I know they know it's me. So I don't have to do anything else.
Sure. Exactly. That, you know, there's a book. I have a good friend who's been on the podcast before, Dozer Dial. He and his wife own and operate Jedco Sales in Effingham, Illinois, and they sell promotional advertising. And he actually is the one who recommended a book to me called Giftology. And, you know, he laughs about it because it goes against what he's selling, because he usually sells pins and like cups like this with your logo, which is great to have. But he says, actually, the best gift to give is something that's specialized for your prospect or client. And that book talks about, you know, here's how you create an experience or a gift that the people connect with. And instead of them throwing it away or giving it to their kids, you know, it makes them think of you when they see it. And because it was created especially for that person.
Yeah, I love that. What we do for our closing gifts, I started doing this a couple of years ago. Obviously, I don't work with buyers anymore, but my team still offers these gifts. But we work with a photographer and I send out a postcard that basically is like a free like mini photo shoot in their home.
Cool. Oh, cool.
So we pay for it and they schedule it with the photographer and they get like at least 10 edited images and they're all cute. Like, you know, they got their home already, like their living room, wherever like their favorite parts of the house are. So, and they get these nice edited images and then they always allow me to share them with like social media and that kind of stuff too. And I know that they always think of me when they see those like family photos and I'm not in it, obviously, in any way. There's no logo, watermark, anything. It's just, here are images. And I just don't think you get more personalized than here are pictures of you in your house.
That is a fantastic idea. That's genius. Business owners out there, take notes. If you're driving, pause it here, go back when you get parked, take notes on that. Because that right there is the icing on the cake. If you can do that within your business, make it about someone else. You want to talk about referrals, like Monica said before, referrals, you are going to be the ones that they talk about. So right there, I think, believe it or not, Monica, we're beyond the 30-minute mark. So I think it's a good place to stop.
That's great.
We breezed right through it, and we had some good discussion.
I'm chatty. Yeah, I'm a speaker. I can talk. You gotta cut me off.
That's good. It was good topics for business owners to know about. So before we jump off of here, Monica, tell us a little bit about where listeners can find you. Where can they connect with you online?
Yeah, my website is monicabullington.com. You can find all my different, niches in there. But if you want to really connect with me and see my day-to-day life and what I'm literally working on all the time, I'm very active on Instagram. My handle is monica.bullington.
Excellent. For all you listeners out there, make sure you subscribe to the CIBL podcast on your favorite podcast platform. While you're there, please leave a review. It'd be greatly appreciated. You can also find us on social media, mainly on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can connect with myself and Garrett there personally as well. Until next time, Monica, you've officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL Podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.